Energy sources is divided into two types. First is conventional and second is non-conventional energy source. Conventional energy source is known as non-renewable energy resource because it is non-renewable. It cannot be renewed. It cannot be replenished. That's why it is known as non-renewable energy source. Second is non-conventional energy source, that is known as renewable energy source because it can be renewed, it can be replenished. That's why we call it as renewable energy source. Conventional energy sources or non-renewable energy resources cannot be renewed and they cannot be replenished, so they are known as non-renewable energy resources. And industrialized societies depend on conventional or non-renewable energy resources, and most developed nations are dependent on non-renewable energy resources because 85% of the energy resources in the world is from non-renewable energy resources. Renewable energy resources exist inside the earth in the form of coal, oil, natural gas. They were formed when incompletely decomposed plant and animal matter was buried in the earth's crust, and this process took millions of years. Conventional or non-renewable energy resources are coal, oil, natural gas, and nuclear energy. Coal, oil, and natural gas is known as fossil fuel. Coal is non-renewable energy source. It is conventional energy source. We get coal in cheap rates, so it is the main reason of using coal, and we use coal as a fuel for electricity generation, and we get other advantages from coal, such as we can use it for heating and cooking in less developed countries and in rural areas of developed countries. Coal is abundant on Earth and it is mostly found below the Earth, and takes millions of years to form coal because it is formed by buried remains of ancient swamp plants. And you can see that here decaying plants, and there is layer on top of the peat, press down on the peat, and after many years of pressure and heat the peat turns into coal. So it takes many years, it takes billions of years, so it is a slow process of formation of coal. There is disadvantage of using coal, that is, it is harmful for our environment because it creates pollution in our environment. Currently, the world is consuming coal at a rate of about 5 billion metric tons per year. And if consumption continues at the same rate, the current reserves will last for more than 200 years. So current reserves of this fossil fuel will remain only for 200 years. So it is disadvantage, and due to this we need to move on for another resource that must be a renewable energy source, and we will discuss it in next lecture. Right now we are discussing non-renewable energy sources, and next non-renewable energy resource is oil. Oil is another type of non-renewable energy source. It is conventional energy source. It cannot be replenished, it cannot be renewed. That's why it is known as non-renewable energy source. It is made out of dead plants and animals that had lived millions of years ago. When plants and animals died, they were covered with thick layer of mud and sand, which created huge pressure and temperature. So it takes millions of years to form oil. Oil is mostly available in Middle East countries. Another bad news is that oil is being used at a rate that exceeds the rate of discovery of new sources. So oil supplies may be exhausted in another 50 years because almost all oil reserves are being exploited, and we need to find out another energy source that must be renewable energy source, and we will discuss it later. Right now we are discussing non-renewable energy resource, and another type of non-renewable energy resource is natural gas. Natural gas is another type of non-renewable energy source, conventional energy source. It is fossil fuel, it is type of fossil fuel, and it is in the form of gas. So gaseous form of fossil fuel is natural gas, and it is the mixture of different gases that include methane, ethane, propane, and butane. Its benefit is that it does not create any pollution in environment, so it is the cleanest form of fossil fuels. Tiny marine plants and animals died and were buried on the ocean floor. Over time, the marine plants and animals were covered by layers of silt and sand. Over millions of years, the remains were buried deeper and deeper. The enormous heat and pressure turned the remains into oil and natural gas. Today, we drill down through layers of sand, silt, and rock to reach the rock formations that contains oil and natural gas deposits. Natural gas is inexpensive, and we can easily transport it from one place to another place once pipelines are placed properly. We can use natural gas for powering vehicles, for cooking, for heating. Natural gas is also used in our process for making ammonia fertilizer. The current estimate of natural gas reserves is about 100 million metric ton. So 100 million metric tons is current estimate of natural gas reserves. And if we observe the current usage level of natural gas, then according to an estimate, this natural gas will last an estimated 100 years. So we need to think about another energy resource that must be renewable energy source. But now we are going to discuss another non-renewable energy resource, that is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is another type of non-renewable energy source, that is conventional energy source, and we use nuclear power plants for getting this nuclear energy, and we use nuclear fission reaction in power plants and nuclear reactors. That is, when atoms are split apart, the energy can be used to make electricity. In a nuclear power plant, we use fission reaction, and we get energy from these nuclear power plants, and that energy is in the form of electricity. In Pakistan, we are only supplying 5.5% of electricity from nuclear power plants, and Pakistan is making very small contribution to total electricity production and requirements. So nuclear energy is non-renewable, it cannot be renewed, it cannot be replenished. That's why it is known as non-renewable energy source, and in nuclear reactors we use fission reaction to get huge amount of energy from nuclear reactors. So we have discussed all types of non-renewable energy sources. Now it's time for you to make notes of non-renewable energy sources, and in next lecture we will discuss renewable energy sources.